are live right here. Yes, we are from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Usen producing today's show, like always. Thanks for tuning in here on a Tuesday afternoon, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Hope all is well. Our sales team locally here in Milwaukee, they all went off for a Cinco de Mayo lunch today. Had the chips and all the traditional things that you would associate with Cinco de Mayo and all of that. I guess I can't say that I've ever really went out partying, drinking, because, you know, there are some people, a reason to go drink and party, I'm in, let's go do it. Right. I guess I really never kind of got into the Cinco de Mayo thing necessarily.
No, I've done it before. I've gone out, had like margaritas on a Tuesday night, you know, try to have fun if it happens to be on a Tuesday, something like that. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like even St. Patrick's Day last year was probably the first time I went out for St. Patrick's Day, like to have food for St. Patrick's Day and drinks for St. Patrick's Day versus like maybe a Shamrock Shuffle every once in a while.
I'd love to tell you that I've never partied on St. Patrick's Day, but that would be an utter lie. I've partied a lot on St. Patrick's Day over the course of my life. So that is not true. That I have gone out for more.
Do you like Mexican food? Like, do you go out for it a lot?
Yeah, we
go out for Cinco de Mayo.
We just had it for dinner. We went to a very cool Mexican restaurant in Oak Creek. What night was it? The night Mizorowski got hurt. Was that Friday night? Saturday night?
Oh, that's plenty of time. You go out tonight for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. No, we're not. I got a baseball game, travel baseball. So there's going to be going out. It's going to be go home, put the kids to bed, and then continue on with my work for the day when I get home. So, all right, coming up on today's show, very Brewer-centric. The guy that runs baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers, Matt Arnold, will join us coming up at 3 o'clock on the show as we talk about the crew. Then, President of Business Operations, Rick Schlesinger, will join us coming up at 4:20. And Jeff Levering was on earlier today. And Charlie Sounds of the Day is going to reflect Jeff Levering. And I just thought of another funny clip, Charlie. I have to have you pull from that same interview. That was very funny. I'm telling you, man, from about 8:34 or so this morning to about 8:43 was just laughter and fun, and it was just so good. And they covered a lot of different topics, quickly running through different stuff, but Jeff Levering was so funny. So we'll play some of that back for you as well when we do Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up at 3:40. So lots of that. Also, a bunch of Buck stuff on today's show, and a interesting debate going on right now about college football we'll get into today as well. So lots to cover. I'm going to start off talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I understand, we got the lottery coming up this weekend and so forth, and should be fun. Looking forward to seeing if the Bucks get anything other than number 10 in the draft lottery coming up on Sunday. That's at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So we'll see how that all plays out. But that's not what we're going to talk about. What we're going to talk about is a piece put out by Sam Quinn of CBS Sports, and I'm sure a lot of you probably follow Sam Quinn on social media. I can't say that I really agree with Sam Quinn on a ton of what he writes or his ideas on what might work, what might not work, and so forth, but very, very good. Writes a bunch of stuff. And if nothing else, it's a lot of fun to follow. Now, Jaylen Brown has been in the news as of lately, talking about Joel Embiid as a flopper and so forth, and just frustrated and upset that they got beat by the Philadelphia 76ers, who then got embarrassed by the Knicks yesterday. But very, very upset and very, very critical of everything going on with that whole series and how, flopping gets rewarded in the NBA and so forth. Okay. In April, the Athletic Sam Amick, who reported that the Celtics are known to be interested in Giannis. Now, at that time, as Sam Quinn pointed out, the timing seemed peculiar. Celtics were at the time the Eastern Conference favorites, and acquiring Giannis would sure require trading either Brown or Tatum, and no team on its way to the finals would give up a homegrown star for someone 2 years older and substantially more injury-prone. But Boston's loss opened that door. On Monday, Mark Stein called the Celtics a team to watch for Giannis on an appearance on Sirius XM radio. So we now have some momentum gathering going forward. Now, I'm not going to read you the Sam Quinn part as far as why Boston's interested. It is very, very long, and I have no interest in reading all of it. And I'm not going to read all of the Bucks one either. I will simply tell you this from a Bucks perspective of what this means, okay? The Bucks, as far as first-round draft picks would go with Boston, Boston can trade their 2027 pick, their 2031 pick, their 2033 pick, and they could also trade number 27 this year. Those are all picks in play right now that could be traded. 29 or 29 and 32 are not available. Everything else through 33 is available as far as number one draft choices go in a potential deal with the Bucks for Giannis if Giannis decides he doesn't want to sign the extension and wants to go somewhere else. Okay? Are we following along? Yep. That's the first thing. The second part in all of this is also Jaylen Brown's contract. Because when we start talking about Jaylen Brown's contract and what that looks like, Giannis is going into the last year of his deal. So if he doesn't sign the extension or doesn't sign an extension with a new team, he becomes a free agent after this upcoming season, which obviously you don't want him to walk away and not get anything in return at the end of the day. Now, a couple of other names that have been floated out there by Ramona Shelburne have been Evan Mobley. I have no interest. And VJ Edgecombe from Philadelphia, who everybody talks about being a superstar at some point in his career. I'm not really interested in that either. Maybe he becomes one. Maybe he doesn't. I don't. Neither one of those two guys win a championship if they're your one.
No shot. And I don't really even think those guys, as of right now, like Evan Mobley maybe could be a strong number two if he could be able to score like that. But VJ Edgecombe was the third best player on his team and the second best player maybe for part of the season until Joel Embiid came back and immediately overshadowed him. Correct. And he was really just kind of getting minutes running around out there for the second half of the season. That was the big complaint with him. After a strong first half, he didn't really step up to the occasion, especially when two other rookies in his class looked like the best players on their team. And yes, those were Cooper Flagg, the number one overall pick, future star, and Con Knipple, who broke 3-point records as a rookie. Right. At the same time, when you're getting overshadowed already, like you need to be the premier rookie in that class for that to be worth it.
Now, Sam Quinn continues on CBS Sports, says the 29-year-old Brown would appeal to Milwaukee for a different reason. Contract control. He's locked in for 3 more seasons, and he's extension eligible for 2 beyond that this coming summer. So that means this summer you could extend him 2 more years and have him for 5 years of team control for the Bucks. So that means you would have him up next season is his age 30 season. So you have him age 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34 age seasons. Before then, he would be able to go somewhere else if he were to sign the 2-year extension. Now, the other part of this is we know Jaylen Brown loved being the number one option in Boston while Jason Tatum was out. And I think, similar to James Harden when he was in OKC, thinks that he can be the number one option on a team that potentially could go win a championship if he was given the opportunity, the shots, and all of the responsibility that goes along with that. I think that he believes I can go be the guy, right? I can go be the leader for the Bucks and take him to the next position. The Bucks look like, unless they get lucky on Sunday, are going to be the number 10 pick in the lottery. That's going to net him a really nice player, okay? If they make this deal and they take 27 as well in the first round, that's going to be a good quality player. Maybe not superstar, but good quality. Charlie's shaking his head. I'm telling you, this draft class is deep.
I don't know. It's so like, no draft has been like 27 picks deep in a long time.
No. Like. But again, understand what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is you're going to get a good player that can come and play for you now. I think, could be wrong, but if it were me and I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, how are we going to build this? Because if it's Jaylen Brown, that means Ryan Rollins is still your starting point guard. I don't got to trade Ryan Rollins. So now I've got Ryan Rollins and Jaylen Brown. You still have Miles Turner at center. So you've got 3/5 there. Then it's, okay, do we trade Kuzma? Do we trade Bobby Portis? Who else do we want to move? KPJ, bring him back. He can be your 6th man off the bench. Be that scoring option off the bench for you. Then whatever you draft there at 10, that player must play. And then at 27, that player essentially comes off the bench as maybe the 8th guy, in the rotation or 9th guy in the rotation. And hopefully it ends up being better than what you think at that pick. My point is you're going to get 2 rotation guys immediately in the first round, right? With this move and with the potential of having more draft picks coming in the upcoming year. So if it's Jaylen Brown and a 1, Jaylen Brown and 2 1s for Giannis or whatever it is, that then makes sense. Why? Well, 2 things. 1, Tatum's coming off major injury, so he's going to have to stay healthy. And 2, Giannis can't ever stay healthy. So if he goes out for any extension period of time over the next, couple of years or whatever, and they have a down year because their guys are hurt, you get to take advantage of that with another really nice draft pick. So I will tell you that, I don't want to trade Giannis, but if Giannis doesn't want to be here, I'm definitely not playing out the year with Giannis if he doesn't want to be here. So just forget that whole idea. So of what's out there, a ton of draft picks, couple of young guys, right? Oklahoma City, let's say, or something like that. Okay, that sounds really appealing to me. But it doesn't appear that they want to go that route. It appears that they want to still compete and not bottom out necessarily. That's what it appears to be, okay? If that's the case, this is the best scenario. Jaylen Brown's the best scenario, or Jason Tatum's the best scenario. Pick. If they're going to break those 2 up, one of those 2 and a couple of 1s, yeah, that to me makes the most sense. It does. Who would I rather have? Giannis or one of those 2? I'd rather have Giannis. But if I can't have Giannis, then I'll take one of these 2 star players in return. Kawhi Leonard's another guy that might be out there. He's hurt as much as Giannis is hurt, if not more. I don't want to deal with Kawhi Leonard being hurt all the time. No, thank you. Anthony Davis is another guy out there in Washington. There's a lot of talk that Anthony Davis isn't getting moved before they even get to the start of next season. Okay? But Anthony Davis is hurt all the time, like Kawhi and like Giannis. I don't want to deal with that either.
Well, and I've also just hated the way Anthony Davis has talked about the Wizards. Like, it just feels like very much so that he just doesn't want to be there at all.
They're a losing organization.
Which I get.
But they got Trae Young. He's got somebody to run
right.
with.
And I feel like the Wizards are trying to do something. It feels like they're trying to change their direction some way, somehow. And I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I think Anthony Davis is just kind of blatantly going out there and pretending like showing his true emotion to some degree while being nice about it, saying, oh, they're trying really hard, but I don't want to be here. Like, that's the wrong way to go about it too. So I don't really want that type of mentality if the Bucks might be in the same kind of boat that the Wizards have been over the past few years after they gave Bradley Beal and John Wall massive contracts.
Correct. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why this whole idea of, trade Giannis, whether he wants to be here or not, screw it, just trade him. Folks, again, once the cupboard is bare in Milwaukee, it could take forever to get this thing back to where it was. Forever, I tell you. And again, look at Washington, like we were just talking about. You've got a superstar there already in Trae Young, another guy that comes in and goes, yeah, no, I know there's a guy here, but I still don't want to play here because this organization doesn't win. So it's really, really, really difficult to build this thing from scratch. At least if I have Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, maybe I can attract somebody else to come play with one of these 2 cats, and I have a top 10 pick. I mean, realistically, dream scenario, you get Jaylen Brown, and then you get DeBonsta in the draft. Now, that's dream scenario, right? That's dream scenario. Then that changes everything, because then it's Brown, DeBonsta, Miles Turner, Ryan Rollins, and whatever you want to play at the other position. Now that's dream scenario. Trail, north side of Milwaukee. Would you do that deal? Would you send Giannis for Jaylen Brown and picks if you were the Bucks, like CBS Sports is suggesting they would do?
Hey, how you doing, Sparky?
Good.
Put Jaylen Brown on the Bucks? Hell no. But if I was going to take Jaylen Brown and trade him somewhere else for a load of other stuff, absolutely, I'll do that deal. I hear what you're saying about they don't want to bottom it out, but to me, as a Bucks fan, that's the only way to go right now. I don't want a middling team with a guy who's not going to stay here after his contract is
yeah,
expired.
But that's the thing, Jalen. That's the thing, Terrell. He's got 3 years left with the opportunity to extend 2 more. That puts him at 5 years.
Don't care, Sparky. I don't want that. He's a guy that wants to win now. He doesn't want to be a part of a rebuilding situation. Trade him to a contender. Get a load of their stuff.
Let me hold on a second. Let me cut you off. They also have shooting on this team like Boston does. And if you ask anybody in Wisconsin, what would they say? Mizzou is a hell of a lot better coach than Doc Rivers. That's why Boston was able to win with Jaylen Brown and shooters, and the Bucks weren't able to figure it out. So if you believe in the shooting that they currently have around Jaylen Brown, and if you're Jaylen Brown, they're like, dude, I won with a roster similar to this when I was in Boston with my coach. I can win with these guys, and you're going to give me a lottery pick to play with me, and I have Miles Turner at center, and I have Rollins at point guard. I don't know, man. I think Jaylen Brown looks at that and goes, we could be a top 5 seed with what I have around me.
Sparky, please. I understand you're trying your best to hype this up.
Hey, it makes sense.
We couldn't even win with Giannis, and Giannis is a much better player than Jaylen Brown with this shooting. So, and we haven't been able to win with Giannis for years now.
That's not fair, though, because Giannis was gone half the year.
Okay, that's true, but Giannis has been here for years. And
yeah.
We've had similar players around us, and we ain't won crap in a number of years with probably Giannis, who's way better player than Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I just think the path forward, and I know the Bucks management are probably going to try to find a way I can do it, is the OKC way. That's the path forward, to stink for a little bit, but get you a stud player you can build around and just keep chipping at it while you're building a team around.
Okay, fine, fair. What's the key to what Oklahoma City has done? There's a gigantic key in all of this. Do you know?
They identified the potential of a young player before he blossomed into that, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that was their biggest building block.
Right.
Starting off,
but
still the biggest building block.
Agreed. I don't disagree. The key is the general manager position on who's pulling the trigger on draft picks, who's pulling the trigger on trades, and so forth. Sam Presti is the best guy in basketball at doing that, and that's who built OKC. I'm not bashing John Horst. I'm just saying, I don't know if he's the guy to go do all of that.
Well, I agree with you. So maybe that's another question for management as far as looking to the future. But I think they got the right coach at the helm. I would say that. So maybe they need a guy who's a very good scout, who can, develop teams as far as putting not just talent, but chemistry and all that, mixing it together. But if I was the Bucks, I'm hoping they have some type of success in the lottery. I'm not saying the Bansa success, but if I can get Acuff, I think Acuff's the type of player that could be a young building block player that he can give the team some type of hope and notoriety when Giannis is gone, and he can still be here once they start to get the pieces around him and can possibly, hopefully, get a championship window again. So that's the type of situation that I want to happen. We'll see what happens. Though.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Got some text coming in here on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Would you do that deal? Would you send Giannis to Boston for Jaylen Brown and picks? Would you do it? 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Let's see here from the 262. This trade makes sense if the Bucks can get a number 1 in 26 and in 27. Jaylen Brown is really good, but we need picks too. Yes, they have to have first-round picks in all of this. I totally agree. And the pick this year at 2026 would be their 27th pick this year. So absolutely, you can do that. Can I just add something else? I don't want another pick close to this. I'd rather go to 33. I'd rather go to whatever other years out there that I said, 31, 32, whatever other year that is, out there in the future, only because you roll the dice on Giannis by that time will be completely potentially broken down and will not be contributing at a high level. And now you have a good chance of them possibly having a bad year because of injury. And now you potentially could get a really good draft.
Well, and I think by that point too, potentially you could have a roster that you've rebuilt at by that time. And I think that's really important for this Bucks team, that if they were to go up with the Boston Celtics at some point here, and in 2033, the Bucks are a competitive team, the Boston Celtics aren't, then you could use that pick to your advantage in the trade market, not just in the draft as well.
Right. That was from Larry and Tosa. Got another one coming in from the 906. I'd rather have Jaylen Brown with the ball with the game on the line than Giannis. Easily.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Like,
Uh-oh.
I get what you're saying. I know people have always had this complaint about Giannis not being that closer, not being able to hit a shot outside of the paint consistently enough to be able to trust with the ball in his hands there. Also, Giannis is still one of the greatest players of all time. And that Giannis can rush the basket better than anybody else whenever he wants. And I think that's an extremely valuable skill that he's used to win games in the past. Now, I know you need other guys around him who could potentially hit that game-winning shot for them. But at the same time, I don't know. Jaylen Brown isn't one of the greatest players of all time. Giannis is. I trust the guy who's supposed to be one of the greatest players of all time.
Yes, that's exactly right. I got a bunch of stuff coming in here. Let's see from I'll make sure that's not the same number. From the 262. So are we just trading Giannis for a hurt player to get future ones? It's not the worst idea, since if Giannis stays and keeps getting hurt, we still go nowhere. That is from Ziggy. I'm not trading Giannis for a hurt player. Jaylen Brown ain't hurt. There ain't nothing wrong with Jaylen Brown. I would take Jaylen Brown in a heartbeat. But again, the key here is you need a couple of ones. Jaylen Brown's contract is not cheap. $57 million next year. $61 million the year after that. $64.9 the year after that. And then if you pick up that 2-year extension, now you're going to be around $70 million a year for those 2 years. And those 2 years would be age 33 and age 34. But again, that will lock him up for 5 years. And if I'm pitching it, Jaylen.
Well, and
listen up, buddy. It was fun. Y'all did your thing in Boston, right? But if we're being straight, everybody says that was Jason Tatum's team. He's the one that won that championship. You were his Robin. You were never Batman in Boston. You never got to be that guy. Giannis was Batman here and won a championship. We threw a parade. We had a party. It was all of that. Now you can come here and be Batman for the next 5 years, and this can be all of yours, just like it was for Giannis. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about. And then and I need you to recruit. Giannis didn't recruit. I need you to recruit to try and get you some help. We're going to get you a lottery pick. We love Rollins. I don't know what he thinks of Rollins. We love Rollins. You and Miles Turner could be a lot of fun. Let's roll. Man, I'm getting myself all excited.
I don't
want to trade Giannis, to be straight. But if he doesn't want to be here, well.
The other benefit, I think, too, with these contracts is that compared to Giannis, at least in 3 years, I think there's a pretty high chance, maybe even chance at least, that Jaylen Brown is easier to trade in 3 years than Giannis is. And I think if Giannis keeps going with the injuries and just his style of play being so demanding demanding on him, but also demanding for the ball in any kind of offense that he's in, I think Jaylen Brown will fit into just more offenses across the NBA, and you can use that to your advantage in 3 years. If he is starting to get hurt a little bit and Giannis is starting to get hurt a little bit, people will want to at least test out a Jaylen Brown before they test out a Giannis and change their entire offense.
Correct. And you're absolutely right about that. Now, the other side of this is the Boston side of this. And why would Boston do this if you are the Celtics wanting Giannis in a Jaylen Brown deal with picks? Run it back earlier today. Michelle Beadle and Lou Williams had a potential conversation about this potential scenario where Giannis would get dealt to Boston.
The Celtics would be very interested in perhaps acquiring the services of one Giannis Antetokounmpo if possible. But in doing so, they would have to get rid of either Tatum or Brown. That is, in my opinion, Lou, when we're talking Boston Celtics, that's blowing up the team a little bit. So
it is.
Would you do that?
I don't think they do. As far as Giannis goes, we're beating a dead horse at this point, but we're talking about a team that has a clear identity and a style of play that they want to play. So does Giannis fit that mold? I don't think so. And we know for a fact, Tatum and Brown, they've won a championship playing this way. Now, is it a unique brand of basketball that's only worked for a handful of teams in the history of the NBA? Sure, but that's their brand of basketball. That's what they've decided works best for them. And so if you're going to bring in somebody that doesn't do that well at all, that changes everything for me. And one of those guys have to go, and then that changes your identity. And so for me, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel in making that move. But any team you put Giannis on, it makes them a better basketball team. But it does change the trajectory of how you play and how you move moving forward.
This is the thing, Lou Williams. This is the thing. You're right. you're getting rid of one guy that's a scorer that can shoot the ball outside, slash the basket, do all that, for a guy that can shoot the ball outside, but is one of the best rim protectors we've seen and is an unstoppable force going to the lane. He's going to get to the free throw line at a super high amount. Injury thing aside, he is a beast. And as Lou Williams pointed out, any team that gets Giannis is better. The question becomes, do you trust Joe Mazzulla to reshape his offense to accommodate Giannis and Tatum, or Giannis and Jaylen Brown if Tatum is the one that goes? Do you trust him to do that? They got a ton of shooting on that team to surround Giannis with. They got a ton of shooting. Like, I personally don't think it would be all that difficult for Joe Mazzulla to figure this out. If they said, hey, Jaylen Brown's gone, but we got you, Giannis, I don't think Mazzulla is going to cry. Oh my God, what am I going to do? His team is ruined. Like, I think it's just start laughing and getting giddy and just gonna be like, oh, this is fun, and start drawing stuff up.
Well, and you talk about the 3-point shooting, but these Boston Celtics are based off of rebounding and playing defense really well too, and playing within that system, which Giannis does both of those really damn well. And isn't Jason Tatum just a really good version of Chris Middleton, if we're being completely honest? Hasn't Joe Mazzulla seen this type of offense run before and win a championship before with the Milwaukee Bucks? It should be easy for a guy who's supposed to be that good of a coach to figure it out.
The Queen of Spice, Wendy's, is taking their already hot and juicy beef and making it, well, hotter with a new jalapeno ranch cheeseburger. It's out with jalapenos and ranch for the perfect balance of heat and flavor, but it's only available for a limited time, so get a bite while you can. Coming up next, man, oh man, oh man. Kevin Clark of The Ringer, who, again, am I a gigantic fan of? No. Another guy that I hardly ever agree with. I had a take on the college football playoffs, potentially expanding to 24. And he was on Feinbaum's show and having this conversation. And Tim Brando just went scorched earth on the whole conversation that they had on X. And I got to get everybody's takes on this whole conversation concerning college football potentially expanding their playoffs to 24 teams. Clark's on one side of the argument, Brando's on the extreme opposite side. Where will you fit? It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. All right. There we go. This is Trevor Thomas's song right here.
This is a good song.
Yeah.
I know people think it's corny, but
This is the Trevor Thomas walk-up music that he asked for the other day. I like this song. That's a good song.
Yeah, it gets you going.
Power Love with Josh. That's a good song. This is a good song.
I recognize this one right away, though.
Yeah.
I'm not ever going to recognize Power of Love the entire
Do you ever
fucking
hear the
album.
song The Greatest by Kenny Rogers?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I
Talking
know
about
it.
the small kid, how he tosses the ball up in the air, swings and misses, and strike one and he misses, whatever else, and then he
No.
throws it up in the air again, whatever. You never heard that song?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's such a cool song, man. It's such a cool song. I love that song. It's not upbeat or anything, so it wouldn't be like for bumper music,
Right.
but it's just a great song. I like that song. I'm a big Kenny Rogers guy. Anyways, coming up on today's show, still Matt Arnold, Brewers president of business of baseball operations and general manager, obviously, will join us coming up here in about 25 minutes. Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations, will join us coming up at 4:20. The Brewers have like what would you call it? A sneaker?
Yeah.
Technically,
It's
that's
a
technically not a
sneaker, yeah.
basketball shoe. I call all shoes basketball
I
shoes.
call them all tennis shoes.
Or you call them tennis shoes?
Yeah, really.
Right. So this is a tennis shoe, basketball shoe, whatever, with Brewers logo and colors, limited edition, only so many that they talked about that they're bringing out. So I want to get them on to talk about that. We can talk about the Wall of Fame with CC Sabathia and Dave Wall of, what was it called? Wall of Honor, whatever it is.
Wall of Honor,
Yeah, we're going to have him on to talk about both those guys. So lots to talk to Rick about. All right, I want to get into this thing that we were talking about before the break. Kevin Clark, part of The Ringer, he was on Paul Feinbaum's show, and they were talking about this potential idea of expanding the college football playoffs eventually to 24. Kevin Clark was not a fan.
I think that college football should be run by people who like college football. And every decision, every idea I've seen, Paul, about playoff expansion seems like it's come from people who don't like college football, don't know why we like it, and it's really starting to tick me off. A 24-team playoff would be a disgrace. And I think that even now, frankly, I think 12 is too big. I thought 6 was the perfect playoff size if you wanted to stop there. But we know that they can't help themselves. I get that. So 12, and then if you have to in a decade, go to 16. Fine. But the idea of 24, the idea I've seen floated of 32, I just think it's ludicrous. And it devalues the regular season. And at some point, if you start making decisions that are not for the best interest of the sport and for the interests of either TV networks or ADs who want to bail themselves out from bad decisions that they themselves have made. I saw the thing the other day about how much the Big Ten is giving out in revenue per team. Why is private equity still trying to be in the mix there? Same deal with the Big 12. If everything now is a bailout for ADs that can't help themselves, then college football fans are in for a really, really rough decade. Okay. But if we start coalescing around the idea that college football is the best regular season in sports, that we, the fans, are the reason that 30 million people watch certain college football games, and it's not about decisions made in the boardroom. I think there can be a reaction to this where people like the SEC, who are obviously standing firm on 12 teams, there's so much that can go on here in the next couple of years. I think the number one thing is making sure that we don't lose sight of why people like college football. And we don't lose sight of the fact that October 15th and 22nd and 29th, those can be the best days on the sports calendar. It's not about the playoff. It will never be about the playoff. I don't think the playoff will ever be the focal point of the sport in the same way March Madness is. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But if you try to make it that, then you ruin the regular season, you ruin the sport. So that's the biggest thing to me. People who like college football should make decisions on the future of it.
Again, I understand. Do I want 24 teams in a playoff? No. The question we have for you is, do you think the eventual expansion to college football playoff to 24 teams is good or bad for college football? Not whether or not you want it, whether or not you think it's good or bad for the sport. Kevin Clark, the Ringer right there, is saying, hey, man, this is a regular season sport where 2 losses and you're toast. You're not going to be playing for a championship, right? 1 loss hurts you depending on who you are. Sometimes you can overcome it. But now with the playoff, now 2 losses, you might still be able to get in. If you go to 24 teams, Now even more teams can get into a playoff that might have 3 losses, or God forbid 4 losses might still sneak in because of the power conference that they're coming from. So Tim Brando, longtime college football play-by-play voice, legendary college football play-by-play voice. We've had him on this show. He went scorched earth on X today in this one. And he was going after Feinbaum, the SEC fan base, the good old boy network, all this. I'm not reading all that. We're just going to eliminate all that. I'm not going to read all that. You want to read it, go to @Tim Brando. You can read it there. This is the part I'm going to read. Here's the problem. Despite the power that Greg Sankey wields, with the circumstances college football faces now, means it's going to take more, lots more. To that end, in time, his presidents and chancellors are going to recognize expansion beyond 12 to 16, and yes, even 24 is what makes now what looks unsustainable, sustainable. Period. End of story. Each time they tell us we'll ruin the regular season, the opposite is true. Brando in another post. I know this. I love college football more than anyone I've ever met, and the expansion of college football playoff expansion has proven time and again how much it improves the regular season and how much more enjoyable and entertaining the college football playoff has become since its inception. The move to 16, later 24, will only make all of it better. And then we had people responding, the regular season is meaningless, so forth. Brando, no, it's absolutely not. You think that Indiana football win early last season didn't have any meaning? They come from behind win at Penn State had no meaning? Sorry, your rebuttal capabilities are pathetic. Next question. And he's just going back and forth with everybody. Dude, Tim Brando is amazing. So that's why I want to know from you. As a college football fan, do you think it's good or do you think it's bad? Now, as I said, I don't want to watch a 2014 playoff. I mean, you're going to be starting this thing in January and getting done like right before March Madness begins at this point. Or you're going to just play straight through and there's not going to be a break after Thanksgiving. So instead of having like half of December or the full month of December off, it's just going to keep going. There will be no bye weeks necessarily for those teams that are in a 2014 playoff. That's the first reason why I don't like it, because you're straight up against the NFL the entire time. Never a good idea in my mind. Secondly, the reason why this is going to be a thing is the same reason why the NCAA tournament is expanding, the same reason why all the other playoffs are expanding: money. And in this case, we're talking about money having to pay for NIL money. I saw a thing last night talking about they believe there's going to be a dozen or so teams with college basketball payrolls at $20 million or more next college basketball season. You have football payrolls in college. They're going to be $50 million in college football. That's a lot of money. And you can have the best boosters in the world, but to pony that up every year and to go back to that well every year, not got this 5-star. Can you give us $1 million this year? Sure. And then 3 years later, hey, we got another kid. Can you give us $1 million? Sure. That's one thing. It's totally different. Being like, hey, man, we need 10 every year from you. Is that cool? I know you're 60, but can we get 10 million every year until you run out? Like, it's just not going to be sustainable. So they've got to figure out other ways to bring in money in order to pay these kids. Or you can argue, don't pay them, Sparky. Cool. Then you won't compete. You'll have an empty stadium, and you're going to be cutting all the other sports at the university in order to pay to keep this even running in the very least going forward. Yeah, we got 2 wins, but we had to cut women's soccer. We had to cut women's softball. We had to cut guys baseball. All of that just to make payroll for minimal deals in recruiting and minimal deals in the transfer portal just to have enough guys on the roster, Charlie.
Or you see some of these schools that have football programs, but also maybe have competitive basketball programs, just say, screw it, we don't need a football program. And I think that hurts the NCAA
Go the
too.
way of Marquette and just have basketball.
If you start losing a lot of these schools, if Vanderbilt all of a sudden can't catch up to these consistent payments that they keep having to up every year to be competitive, and they say, screw it, we're going back to just being a basketball school, and they drop out of the football side of things, that's bad. Like, that's not a good look for the NCAA. I also think, like, Kevin Clark, as much as I'm sometimes a little naive and optimistic about the way things happen, so like, that's way too optimistic at the end there. Like, people People love this, man. People love the college football playoffs. Since they started raising that glass ball in the air, that's what people have lived for when it comes to college football. You can't say it's all about October when it's really just not.
Well, college football needs a Cinderella to make a run in this playoff. That's what they need. That's what helped propel the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
When you get Cinderellas on the run and people go crazy. He's right from the aspect of it will never be the NCAA tournament because you'll never have a bracket craze type deal where everybody takes off of work to go watch a ton of football games all at one time and there's upsets all over the place from 11 a.m. until midnight. Like you're never going to have that. Having said that, there's a potential they're going to ruin the NCAA tournament by eventually getting to 100 teams and whatever else, and they could blow that thing up by themselves popularity-wise. But the playoff aspect, again, think about it. The Badgers stink. Okay, fine. Right now, a bowl game is 6. Cool. But what if a playoff team from the Big Ten, because the Big Ten and the SEC are always going to get the most teams in the playoff, from a playoff team in the Big Ten, if you have 9 wins, you're going to the playoffs. Can the Badgers get 9 wins regularly? Probably. They did it with Paul Chris. They did it with Brad
money,
Bielema.
right? Yeah.
Right.
But
You
can keep finding ways to spend money or get money to spend.
But I'm just saying, now, okay, 9 wins or 10 wins, that's attainable. I can do that rather consistently and have me in the playoffs and collect all that additional money that comes along with it. It's just, yeah. And again, then Badger fans are all excited. Oh, we're in the playoffs again. Badgers in Alabama in the first round or Badgers in Georgia or whatever. And people get all excited and watch and so forth. So, all right. I don't know. It's a fascinating conversation to me. And regardless of what happens, you always know the Potawatomi Sportsbook can bet on it. Step up to the plate to take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. April through June, you can win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Matt Arnold of the Brewers still to come at 3. Okay, this isn't bad. The Strokes.
You know the Strokes, Sparky?
Nope.
Oh, this is a good song.
Does it do more than this?
Oh yeah, eventually. I don't know when eventually, but oh, here we go. Yes.
Are they a newer band?
No, they're older. They're
Oh,
like
all right.
2000s. I think they first started in like the late 90s, but
All right, they're not bad. See, this is the other. This new bummer music we got. This is gonna educate me and get me into some more of this music that I'm not into. So that also will be good. The Nicolay Law Talk and text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Dominic and Hales, yes, bring it. That being the football playoff expansion 24. Football playoff to March Madness sounds amazing as long as I can actually see the games on TV and not cable or streaming. LOL. Yeah, right.
yeah, good luck with that last part. That's not happening. If they get it to go that long, first of all, they're going to have to do it on streaming because you just can't air stuff on the same channel at the same time. So if you're having March Madness and the college football playoffs, like it's just going to be impossible. And they want to make as much money as possible. Dominic, it's not going to happen.
That's correct. They want to make as much money as possible. That's absolutely right. Coming up next, we are going to hear from Matt Arnold. And I already got a texter in. Sparky, don't forget about Jonathan Lucroy. I got you. I got you, man. I got you. I will definitely ask. He was in the room. According to Lucroy, Matt Arnold was in the room. There has to be a logical explanation of why that happened. And I guarantee you Matt Arnold will have the reasoning because David Stearns is getting obliterated from everybody on social media after what
Maybe you
Lucroy
could
said.
phone a friend to David Stearns in the middle of the interview, Sparky.
Ooh, I could text Stearns and see if he wants to come on. That would be a nice little surprise for Matt Arnold. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Matt Arnold up next.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. My award-winning partner, the guy that runs baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers. But if we're being honest, the WBA is probably the highlight of his life to this point. I know he's won Executive of the Year and all that stuff, but who really saw him winning a radio award? Matt Arnold joins us now here on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Good afternoon, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm great. Sparky, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. I like this. It's not toy drive, and I get to talk to you. I'm very, very excited about this.
Same here, buddy.
Hey,
Same here.
I got to start off with something that may be uncomfortable for you, but I want to get it out of the way because I don't want to forget about it. And I don't know if you've heard about it or whatever, but Jonathan Lucroy went on social media with this whole big thing on a podcast, YouTube video, whatever, talking about how it went down the day that he found out that essentially, he's going to get traded to Cleveland. And one of the things that he brought up was that you were in the room, David Stearns was in the room, he was in the room, counsel, I believe he said, was in the room. And David Stearns says, okay, we're trading you, whatever else, but then wouldn't tell Lucroy who the team he was trading to. And Jonathan's like, well, look, I'm going to find this out in 2 minutes after I walk out of the room. And according to Lucroy, Stearns was like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. He goes out of the room, makes the call to Gabe Kapler with the Dodgers. Kapler's like, it's not us. If it is, I don't know anything about it. Then eventually he finds out who it is, that it's Cleveland. And he was bent out of shape back then. He says he's over now. Back then, that, David Stearns wouldn't tell him who the team was. Now, knowing Cleveland was on the no-trade clause, or one of the teams on the no-trade list for Jonathan Lucroy, I just want to understand the reasoning behind why you all couldn't tell him who the team was. I'm assuming there's logical explanation for all of this.
Yeah, man, to be honest, that feels like a lifetime ago. So, I mean, it's probably a little foggy for me. Look, I think, in a lot of those cases, sometimes there are technical reasons why you can't share certain things. I don't remember that part, to be honest with you. I'm not saying it didn't happen or did happen, but in some cases, the team, maybe it's pending physical, or it's not totally finalized, and you're trying to just be transparent with players and give them a heads up. Because I do think that we have a long track record of trying to make sure that we're transparent with our players and communicating with them as much as we can on these types of things. So, but yeah, again, that feels like so long ago, and everybody here loves Luke and what he meant to this franchise. And look, I'm glad ultimately it worked out for us to be able to pivot and getting, a guy like Brinson, who we were able to then flip for Christian Yelich, and very, very happy with that outcome at the end of the day. But certainly a ton of respect for Lucroy and all the things that he did here in Milwaukee.
All right, let's talk about the current team at hand with this Milwaukee Brewers team. It feels like the year of injuries already, and we just now are into the second month of the year. The latest news obviously coming out today with Serpa now looking at Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, obviously that's a tough blow, and certainly for the kid. I mean, obviously what we saw out of him in the WBC was electric, and then came back and wasn't quite the same guy. And sometimes when those guys ramp up quickly, they're not quite ready for that, and it seems like that might have been the case here, unfortunately. But the good thing is that we have him for a while, and he's a really, really good competitor, and I can tell he's already going to be a great member of this team. And so obviously a tough blow for him, certainly, but hoping the best for him. And on the flip side of that, getting guys back here like Vaughn and Churio, like what we saw last night, has been so exciting for the group. And then hopefully Yelich not that far behind. So hopefully the cavalry's on the way. And again, seeing those two guys in the lineup yesterday was incredible. And I'm so thrilled to have those guys back.
Churio's exit velocities were over 100, each one of them. Had a great game, obviously, last night for the Brewers. It was a loss, but that's okay. That it happens in the baseball season. I want to still say on the Andrews, if you don't mind, just a little bit longer. So the Brandon Woodruff thing, he goes out and you could see Chris Hook kind of chatting more than usual on the mound to try and get him off the mound, I think, at that point because of his velocity numbers. And we talked with Tim Dillard like we do every Monday yesterday. And Dillard's like, sometimes when you're out there and they come out there and they tell you your velocity's down, you don't even realize it. Like, you're just throwing. You're not thinking about it. And you're like, nothing feels wrong. I feel just fine. And Ron Darling on MLB Network, he talked about dead arm, and maybe because of, how you guys ramped him up, maybe now this is just the dead arm period like some guys get in spring training. What more can you add to what's going on with Woodruff?
Yeah, look, it was funny. During that game, I mean, he's such a competitor, and I was in the clubhouse when he's pitching, and he's talking to the coaches, and basically said, I can pitch at 84 all day long. It's just not it's not coming out. And I love that about Woody, that he's going to still go out there and compete, even throwing 84 and still get guys out, honestly, because he just really knows how to pitch. But that's obviously not the version of Woody that we wanted to see. So wanted to be super precautious there. And yeah, I think like you said earlier, it's just dealing with that dead arm phase of his buildup, and thankfully, a lot of the work that our medical team has done said there's nothing structural here, and so sounds like he's had some work done and an injection to settle things down a little bit, and he's gonna ramp up pitching here as tolerated, which is great news because again, it's not anything structural here, and just getting through this dead arm phase and hopefully have him back as soon as possible.
Are you thinking like a couple of weeks?
Yeah, potentially. Again, it's one of those things that's tough to read, but yeah, assuming that there's no hangups here, we hope it's sooner than later.
What's going on with Quinn Priester? Because he gets sent back, still on the IL, but stop the rehab process and the rehab outing.
Yeah, same thing. Just a touch of soreness there in his shoulder, and again, he set such a high bar for what he is and what he can be last year, and coming over, and he's such a great kid, and so. Wanted to bring him back here, and he's actually going to spend some time with the big league team and get to be around Hookie and Jim Henderson and work on some mechanical stuff there as well. But again, nothing super alarming there. Just probably pushed his return date maybe back a little bit, maybe into potentially late May or early June. But continue to hope to build him up, and getting him around our big league guys on rehab, I think, will be a good thing for him.
Matt Arnold, president of baseball operations for your Milwaukee Brewers and general manager, joins us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. All right, let's go to the bats here and get your thoughts on this. The left side of that infield obviously was something that I think was talked about by fans and media alike coming into the season as far as offensively, what type of numbers they could potentially do. And defensively as well, as far as third base goes with, David Hamilton. Is he going to be at third base? Is he rotating at shortstop with Joey Ortiz? Are you looking at the left side of the infield wanting more than what you've gotten to this point, or how would you assess it from an offensive and defensive standpoint?
Yeah, look, I think obviously, there are times when these guys have shown flashes and they're dynamic and doing things incredibly well on both sides of the ball. And at the same time, I think, there are times when you're hoping for more offensively, and especially in some big situations there. And so I think we're all feeling that at certain times, but I can tell you that those guys are working like crazy with our hitting guys and, doing a really good job. And then obviously what they bring to the table defensively, between Hamilton and Ortiz, is really special, and what they can do to cover ground and protect our pitchers certainly does not go unnoticed. And it feels like those guys are making a play every single night to help out. And so even if they're not always doing it with the bat, they're certainly contributing immensely with the glove. And it's just about sort of getting them on the right track here offensively. But, they're showing some flashes. Joey had some really good swings, I thought, in Washington, and hope to carry that on in the weeks ahead. But and Hamilton has been super dynamic as well, just putting the ball in play and dropping a bunt down when he needs to. And again, he's still making some adjustments that the guys have seen and coming over here from Boston and just learning a new philosophy here with the way we play the game. So again, both of those guys I think have been solid contributors, and just hoping to continue to build on that progress. Natural
transition here to Cooper Pratt, because nobody knew what was happening, why he was a late scratch in Nashville, and everybody was assuming, and a lot of people hoping, that he was coming with Chiriel and Vaughn up from AAA Nashville on Monday. That's what everybody was waiting for yesterday, and then we find out that maybe it was just a sore foot, and Cooper Pratt will be fine and be back at some point. But he's been playing really, really well the last 10 games, hitting over 300, showing some of that slug finally coming along down there in Nashville. How much of a runway does he need to show you before you're convinced that he potentially is ready to move up?
Yeah, he's been tremendous. Like you said, the last 10 days to 2 weeks, Cooper's been outstanding, and really swinging the bat well and playing great defense. And that's why we wanted to invest in him. But, again, he got off to a little bit of a slow start. So we want to see him kind of sustain some of this. And he's continued to work with our hitting guys there in AAA to make adjustments that we hope are sustainable, and he's such a young kid. You hate to accelerate these guys before they're ready, but he's got a long career ahead of him, and obviously we invested a lot in him because we care about him, and we think that he's going to be a big part of our future here.
I want to talk about the minors a little bit, Matt Arnold, if you don't mind. Just a couple quick questions about the minors.
Sure.
What's going on with our guy Luis Pena? Because obviously, scary situation. He loses consciousness in the dugout. The ambulance comes and gets him. They stop the game. He goes to the hospital. Then everything is stabilized. Everything is fine. Checks out fine. But then last I heard, he was scheduled to go see a neurologist. So what's the latest on him as far as when he might get back out there?
Yeah, again, was dealing with a little bit of dehydration there, and just exertion and et cetera. And so passed out. And so, again, we just want to be sure and extra cautious with these types of things. And he's continuing to get evaluated. And again, such a talented kid and off to an incredible start and a really good pure hitter. So again, we're still getting some more tests on him, but hope to have him back really soon.
I want to bring up something else. Baseball America put out a thing today across minor leagues so far. And one of the things that got put out there, the Brewers are over a year younger than the average age at each level across minor league baseball this season. That includes a Double-A pitching staff that's the youngest in the Southern League since 2017. And on the hitting side, that's tied for the youngest in the Southern League right now with the Biloxi Shuckers at this point. Obviously, I don't know if this was a plan one way or the other, but that really helps, I think, from a fan standpoint to when you start identifying maybe a pitcher is struggling at Double-A or some other level to realize just how young they are. But at the same point, if somebody is going off and playing really well, that's even more promising.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes you lose sight of how young these kids are, because maybe they are advanced at a Double-A or even a Triple-A level. Guys like Jet Williams or Cooper Pratt, I think, are good examples of that. Like those guys could be college kids, and so just with how fast that they've moved, and some of these kids are still teenagers, at the lower levels that we like a lot, and they're performing incredibly well. So yeah, that's a great point, Sparky, just about the perspective that we need to all have on just the age of these kids and the time that it takes to become a big leaguer and not just have the talent to do so, but also play the game the way that we want to play it.
There is Matt Arnold, again, president of baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Matt, as always, thank you so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Love it. Thanks, Sparky. Appreciate you.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Matt Arnold, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. I felt like we learned some stuff there in that interview.
We did. Yeah.
That was educational from Matt Arnold, letting us in on some stuff. Number one, talking about an injection, essentially, and working Woodruff back up again, and kind of going along the line of potentially dead arm type deal, and potentially saying that maybe he's back here in a couple of weeks for Woodruff. That is good. Then talking about Quinn Priester and saying, yeah, some soreness, whatever. But the biggest thing he said there was, back here, work with Hookie a little bit. Right. Kind of like, I think he needs to work on the mechanics and get Hookie figured out. And then we'll send him potentially back out after we get him fixed. That's what I took away from that.
Well, and you can always trust in Hookie. That's what we've learned so far with this Brewers pitching staff. Almost anybody that comes through here is that he's going to fix you. And if he can't fix you, then you weren't fixable in the first place. Like that's what we've learned so far with this team. Or that he can take you to a certain point. You see some of these guys leave and they don't do as well. I believe that if the Brewers think that all it takes is getting him in front of Chris Hook again and to get him back to normal, I believe in that.
As far as Mizorowski goes, I didn't ask about that because last night they pretty much verified that Mizorowski is fine and he'll be able to make his next start. So there's no need to bring up Mizorowski. But I think we covered all the big ones. Pena was a big one that we needed some answers to on that forefront. We brought up the LaCroix thing at the beginning. I just will say, I don't like, and I understand medicals or whatever else. I don't like the idea of being told I'm being traded and then you not being able to tell me where I'm going. Like that just seems kind of bizarre to me. Like, hey, congratulations, you got a new job, Charlie. Cool. Where am I going? I can't tell you that for a couple of weeks, but I'll get back to you. But you're not going to be here in Milwaukee anymore. You're going to be moving somewhere else. Oh my God. Like, I would be freaking out. Like, what do you mean you can't tell me where I'm going? Go home and tell your wife and your kids, hey folks, we're moving. Oh, where are we moving, Daddy? I don't know. They won't tell me. What do you mean they won't tell you? Like that. And again, I understand, and like I said, I'm sure there was a technicality or whatever, and they were just going by the letter of the law of how they were supposed to do stuff. But again, hearing that from LaCroix, as a fan, you're like, boy, that's kind of crappy. That doesn't sound right.
Well, and the way LaCroix put it was that they didn't tell him because he gets to choose whether he said yes or no to that Cleveland deal. If it was to anybody else that wasn't on that list of players, like within his contract,
right,
he didn't get to say yes or no. He didn't get that choice.
He leveraged it as saying, well, they put it out there. That makes it harder for me to say.
Guilt trip me into basically saying, yes, fine.
But the part that he brought up was, and that Matt Arnold brought up, was they said there were some medicals on LaCroix that had to be checked out. And Matt Arnold brought that up as far as physicals and so forth, why they might not be able to say anything until the physical or the medicals are cleared. LaCroix said in that piece that, hey, man, what's wrong with me? Ain't nothing wrong with me. What do you mean medicals,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So, we don't know anything more than we did
Matt
before.
wasn't the decision maker in any of that. He was just a bystander. He was a bystander.
Just
so
like
we
counsel.
got what we could. So
just hanging out, finding out what's going on.
You got to reach out to David Stern, Sparky. We need to find out what was happening.
Dude, David Stern has his home problems in New York right now. I don't think
he's picking up.
I don't think he gives a damn about what Jonathan LaCroix has to say about something that happened eons ago.
Give it a few months. Maybe he might be out of a job and he'll be willing to do some radio hits.
Bring him back for the toy drive.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
We'll have Stearns and Matt Arnold for the toy drive.
There you go. Yeah, we could get some good stories
hey,
then. Yeah.
20th anniversary of the toy drive this year for Children's Wisconsin.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Week after Thanksgiving.
That's fun.
20 years. We got to do it up big. Like, it's got to be some type of monster guest list or something. I don't know what we're going to do, but it's got to be something big.
We've built quite the roster so far with the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I think we could pull some strings, get some cool guys out here.
Yeah. Am I going to fly Peter Fagan in from New York to come hang out with us? I don't know.
We could try, Sparky.
Maybe we fly Peter Fagan in because he came out every year as well. Okay, that was Let's Talk About the Crew with our guy Matt Arnold. Still to come, Rick Schlesinger, Brewers president of business operations, will join us coming up at 4:20. Coming up next, got to talk a little bit about Taylor Jenkins, the new Bucs head coach, because there is a report out there today as far as how much money he is making. And then in that same story, talks about where that ranks him amongst current NBA coaches. And pretty much every one of these coaches have one thing in common that Taylor Jenkins does not have in common with any of them. So we'll talk about whether or not he was worth paying as much as they paid him. Coming up next, it's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wendy's new cookie dough Frosty Fusion is the ultimate feel-good snack. Everything from the cookie dough to the brownie batter sauce was made for max happiness. Go grab a new cookie dough Frosty Fusion today and get that dopamine flowing. Get it? Dopamine, like cookie dough. Yeah, you got it. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. This ain't bad either. All right. I'm good with this. This is pretty good. All right. That's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiver with you. Charlie Usen producing the show. Charlie Sounds of the Day coming up, featuring Inside Wisconsin Sports from earlier today when Jeff Levering was on the show. Some really good, funny bits on there as well. Really good, funny bits. So we will get to that coming up. That'll be in the next segment of the show. I want to talk a little bit about Taylor Jenkins, if y'all don't mind. And the reason why I want to talk about Taylor Jenkins here is because there's an article out there that was put out there talking about Taylor Jenkins' salary with the Milwaukee Bucks. And this comes from the Athletic Sam Amick on how much he's going to make. Now, according to Amick claims that Taylor Jenkins is going to make north of $10 million annually. Make sense? Tomorrow, he's having a press conference to talk with everybody and have that whole conversation. Now, get this. Now, that one is at what? Is it at the Art Museum tomorrow? Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Art Museum.
Art Museum, yeah. So here are the 7 coaches making more than $10 million annually in 25-26. This is from Dalton Sell from Behind the Buck Pass. You have this year, 25-26, Steve Kerr, $17.5 million. Eric Spoelstra, $15 million. Tyronn Lue, $15 million. Doc Rivers, $11 million. Emu Udoka, $11 million. Love you, Udoka for Houston. Joe Mazzulla, $11 million. And Rick Carlisle for Indiana, $11 million. As Dalton Sell points out, notice any common trend? Outside of Udoka, all of those coaches have some hardware. Kerr leads it back with 4 rings. Spoelstra has 2, and the rest have 1. Giving Jenkins comparable money to coaches who have guided teams to the mountaintop shows just how much faith the Bucks have in their new head coach to get them there too. Do you think Jenkins is worth paying as one of the top coaches in the NBA? Do you think he's worth it? Nicolay Law Talk at text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. On the social, streaming live at Instagram Live, X, and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. On the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page, too. You can watch the show streaming live there as well. Always welcome your comments, including in the Dugout YouTube chat that is up and going each and every one of our shows here on Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Is he worth the money? Well, he helped to develop that Memphis team that had Ja Morant, that had Dylan Brooks, that had Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane. Did you see Morant and Jaren Jackson were both at
I did
that Orlando Magic game?
Supporting their old friend.
Yeah, they promptly choked away that series. Oh, Orlando. And then they fired their head coach on top of it.
I thought that was crazy. I didn't think Mosley was going to be out of there. I thought they liked Mosley.
You know why he got fired.
Why is that?
Paulo Banchero got that dude fired.
Yeah, probably. That's usually the case.
That post-game presser, he absolutely got him fired.
Uh-huh.
There was no chance.
And that same thing is reportedly part of the reason Taylor Jenkins got fired out of Memphis.
No.
Back to that.
Timeout, rewind. Taylor Jenkins, my belief is, got forced into redoing his assistant coaches to keep his gig. And once that went down and those players lost guys that they trusted and liked on that staff, that was the end of it. Because one of the guys they brought in was the guy they planned on replacing Taylor Jenkins with. This all came from above. So I think Taylor Jenkins completely got a screw job down there as far as how this whole thing played out. I could be wrong, but I don't believe there is ill will from Jaren Jackson, from Ja Morant, from Desmond Bane, or those guys towards him. I think there was maybe some ill will by how this whole thing got all shifted and they lost their assistant coach.
Well, and I'm sure that'll be one of the questions that's asked tomorrow, potentially, of Taylor Jenkins about his relationship with the guys that he was coaching back in Memphis and kind of what happened to get him and led him here to this point. I think those are all fair questions that they could ask of him. At the same time, I can also see why he would avoid those questions just in case there is some kind of situation, but it doesn't seem like, to your point.
Now, again, this is a lot of money for a guy that does not have a ring. They never even made it to the NBA Finals in Memphis. They were a playoff team every year. And then if you remember what happened at the end was they had multiple years where the whole team was hurt. Or Ja Morant had off-the-court issues that they were dealing with, and he wasn't playing. That all came apart because of injuries and Ja Morant off the court. That's why that thing blew up. They never really got to finish that thing the way they thought they were going to finish it. Remember, they were young, they were brash, they were cocky. I couldn't stand that team as a Bucks fan. Just like somebody shut them up. Dylan Brooks, number one on my list. But that's kind of who they were. And they were young and they were growing and they were doing it together. And then they had a horrible string of bad luck that ended that thing. And now they're spread out all over the freaking place, all over the NBA. We talked earlier in the first hour about Jaylen Brown. And hey, man, if you come here, you got to help recruit, right? You got to go find somebody else or two to come here and play with you in Milwaukee. I don't think it's necessarily any different if you go get Ja Morant. Like, I think it's the same type of deal where if Ja Morant ends up being that guy in a trade that you bring in, and again, I don't really want Ja Morant in my locker room, but if Ja Morant ends up being the guy that you trade for, same thing is going to be asked. Like, go recruit Jaren Jackson to come here. Go recruit Desmond Bane when his deal is up to come here. Or Desmond Bane requests a trade to Milwaukee out of Orlando. Or whatever the case is, to help bring more talent to this team, more veteran talent. Clearly there is a bond between Jackson, Bane, and Ja Morant. Clearly those three are still tight and still a unit. Otherwise, those two aren't traveling to go watch their guy when they were all in Memphis together. So I'm not saying recreate those three and see if you can win a championship in Milwaukee necessarily, but a Jaren Jackson with Ja Morant thing, that's not the worst case scenario.
No, it's not, but also it's still just a lot of money that you're going to have to find a way to move around and to get that to happen. I think part of the reason these guys broke up in Memphis, or the main reason they broke up in Memphis, is because you just can't pay all of them. It was hard to pay one of them for a team like that, especially when you still wanted to compete. That's going to be the biggest key here, and you have to find other ways, other players that can maybe simulate what those guys did for Memphis or what some of these guys in the past have done for Milwaukee if you're keeping Giannis around too, and find cheaper players that maybe just play that style that can help these guys at least get to their peaks.
He is Charlie Houston, C Sparky Pfeiffer, asking you, do you think Jenkins is worth paying as one of the top coaches in the NBA? Because north of $10 million, which is being reported, puts him in the territory of guys that already have championships and rings at this point. Outside of Udoka, he'll become the second one that has no championship hardware. And I know Doc hasn't won it in years. Well, fine, but he still had a championship ring to justify $11 million a year. So do you think he's worth it at this point? Nikolai Lautagi, text line 414-677-1250. From the 414, ask me after 3 seasons. No. See, first of all, I don't want to play that game. And the reason I don't want to play that game is because we don't know what this is. If Giannis is gone and they do what Terrell says earlier in the show when he called in and says, just bottom this thing out, get a bunch of draft picks. I don't want Jaylen Brown. I don't want any veteran players to come in here and try and keep this thing afloat. I want to bottom out. 3 years is not going to be enough time to fix this. You got to need 5 or 6 to have a legitimate chance to build this thing back up. Like, that's not fair. Now, if Giannis stays and then you get Ja Morant to go with Giannis and you do some other stuff and you're in championship mode, then yes, I agree. Then it's fair to say, okay, was he worth the money at the end of the day? He had a championship level caliber roster and he wasn't able to get it done. That didn't work. He wins a ring, then obviously he is worth it at the end. Then I think that is fair. But if he doesn't have anybody to play with and they're just going to try and rebuild this thing from the ground up again, which, again, I don't think ownership wants to do. But if they were to do that, he needs more than 3 years, Charlie. I don't care who you are. You're not rebuilding a franchise from no talent to something in probably 3 years unless you get super lucky and get like 2 top picks in the draft.
Which is like what the Spurs have been able to do and just constantly fix that. Oklahoma City has been pretty good at that too, but it's also really hard and you have to have a really just strong front office with an ownership that are in step with each other and are making the same decisions together, which the Bucks just doesn't feel like they have right now. It feels like it's a lot of voices trying to over talk each other. And I think that's a situation that isn't going to lead to success moving forward. because when you look at a team like the Washington Wizards, like I mentioned before, just how long it took for them to even get any kind of moderate success, or bringing guys like Anthony Davis and Trae Young to get to that moderate success after they moved on from a John Wall, which ended up being a bad contract because of his injuries. Bradley Beal ended up being a bad contract because he just couldn't really do much more than scoring. A lot of these things all led to the Wizards having to struggle for 5 to 6 years under bloated contracts and get to this point where maybe they can change that kind of fortune. But you don't want to be in that boat. You don't want to gamble that you can be San Antonio, you can be OKC, when there's a lot more Charlottes and there's a lot more Wizards out there.
Detroit's, Atlanta's. There's a bunch of teams that it just never works. From the 414, don't the Bucks not have their own first round picks for the next 4 years? So a bunch of picks will not help them. Okay, let's go over this. So this year they have the swap, right? So it's going to be them and New Orleans. Atlanta gets the other one. So if New Orleans or the Bucks get the first overall pick, that's Atlanta. Boy, wouldn't that be a gigantic get for Atlanta? So let's say they end up with one. Then let's say the Bucks or New Orleans end up with 2 or 3. The Bucks then would end up with 2 or 3. They're going to get the worst of the 2 picks between the Bucks and the Pelicans that they have. So there is a chance they could still get a top 3 pick, minimal, but there is a chance that they could potentially get up there. So that is this year. 2027, their first round pick is owed to New Orleans or Atlanta, depending on protection. So they have no first round pick. In 28, they have a swap with Portland. In 29, their first round pick goes to Portland. In 2030, they have another first round pick swap with Portland. And then they have their own pick finally in 31 and 32. So they will have first round picks in 28 and 30, but it'll be the worst however you want to phrase this, between Bucks and Portland. So the Portland has the better pick, and the Bucks will get their own pick. And the Bucks, pick 5 and Portland picks 15. Then Portland would get 5 and the Bucks would get 15. So they will have first round picks in 28 and 30. I think Portland's going to be really good by that point based on their base and money available to them right now with contracts going forward. But either way, regardless. So they'll have a first this year, a first in 28, a first in 30. And then they'll have their own picks starting in 31 and 32.
Yeah, they're going to be okay. And honestly, like in my mind, Portland, just with the way the ownership has handled the postseason and the ceiling, I think I can see on a Denny Avdija, some of these other players. Like it was a good season for this year.
He's on a cheap contract. He's not an expensive contract.
I get, but he's going to want to be paid eventually if he continues to play at least an all-star level. It feels like a Domantas Sabonis situation where Indiana kind of felt pressured into paying a Domantas Sabonis because he was playing at a high enough level to get paid, but he wasn't playing at a high enough level to win the championship. And that's where I think they're going to kind of get cornered into. And other decisions that franchise had made in the past 20 years or so just hasn't led to that overall continued success. They have their pops, but then they make bad decisions and kind of screw themselves. I just don't trust the Portland Trailblazers.
He is Charlie Usen, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer over here with you. Coming up next, Charlie, Sounds of the Day. We'll hear from parts of the Jeff Levering interview from earlier today on Inside Wisconsin Sports. I was literally laughing for about 10 straight minutes listening to this interview with Trevor and Josh. So stay tuned for that. Step up to the plate and take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. April through June, you could win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Charlie, Sounds of the Day, straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, tomorrow, the leadoff show on the road at Explorium Brew Pub in the 3rd Ward tomorrow morning from 11 to noon. Tommy will have some T-shirts to give away as well. Go on down there, have lunch, listen to Tommy do his show. Should be a nice day out tomorrow. Then hang out and watch the game at Explorium Brew Pub. Great food, great drinks. Tommy would love to see you out there again tomorrow, 11 to noon, Exploria Broom Pub with Tommy Wirtz and the leadoff show. This is my kid's song. This is the one he wanted to play. Bad to the Bone.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, this was his walk-up music for a game or two.
That's a good song to pick. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What are your thoughts? We got to get to Charlie Sounds today. What are your thoughts on walk-up music for kids in youth baseball?
Yeah, why not? I don't know. It's fun. I think it gets the kid excited to go up and play. The one time I got to do it was the one time we played at Hellfair Field. I was only in like Little League. I was never good enough at baseball to be like travel ball. But so we got that one night. We all got to pick one walk-up song. I think I spent the entire week going through like songs trying to pick the right one. Like it was fun. It's a good time.
We did Hellfair Field too a couple of years ago. And I got to be the announcer for the lineups, and we had the music and all of that. But like a lot of these travel leagues, they have a Bluetooth speaker, and they have walk-up music for each of their kids every time they come up. And you could have them like computer generated to announce your kid's name when they come up with their walk-up music, just for like a league game, like whatever. Not even in Hellfair Field, just in general.
Yeah, I think that's fun. I think it allows the kids to have a little bit of individuality. Yes. Like when I was playing youth football, my friend's dad was the announcer for our games. Right. He gave each of us nicknames, like every player on the team. Yeah. So it just made you feel cool when he called out your nickname, and he would call it the offensive lineman if they made a good block. Like he was just doing everything to get people like again, the kids to have that individuality. I think the songs do that too. Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, the coach was like, all right, moms get to pick the songs for their sons coming up this week. So that the kids would just be embarrassed whatever song the moms would pick. It was a lot of fun. All right, let's get to this right here.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Okay. Charlie, this is from Inside Wisconsin Sports. Very rarely do I ever dictate to Charlie what I want in Charlie Sounds today, because this is his segment. I try to stay out of it. But today, because I no other place to put this, because we had Matt Arnold at 3 o'clock. We have Rich Schlesinger at 4:20. We've got the Green and Gold update at 4. Things Sparky missed. Like, we just didn't have any room. Sometimes this needs to be a 4 or 5 hour show. Okay, so I wanted to play some of the highlights from the interview with Jeff Levering, Brewers play-by-play announcer, earlier today with Trevor and Josh. Go ahead.
This first clip, Trevor Thomas made the mistake of calling Jeff Levering the voice of the Brewers.
The voice of the Brewers, Jeff Levering, joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Is that weird, Lev? You're the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers.
No. I'm a voice. I'm not the voice.
Do you think that? But, I mean,
that's debatable.
Okay, so that's you not. Okay, I get it.
Hashtag
there's
humble Jeff.
There's no more common voice than Jeff Levering, though. I mean, that we can admit.
I mean, you hear me a lot, that's for sure. And that's okay. You have for a long time. This is my 12th year that I've been here. I've been the most consistent voice that you've heard for a long time, but that's okay. It's good. I'm a voice. I'm just a cog in the wheel. Trev, I'm happy to be a cog.
This is the thing. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes and get anybody mad at me. But when we used to have Ted Davis on all the time, voice of the Milwaukee Bucks, Ted Davis, it was the radio voice of the Milwaukee Bucks, right? I've never, like Jim Paschke was the play-by-play voice on TV forever. I never called him the voice of the Milwaukee Bucks. Jim Paschke joins us, play-by-play announcer on TV, whatever. The radio guy to me has always been the voice of said team. Okay. Bob Uecker was the franchise. Period. End of story. I don't care what the player is. I don't care who the announcer is. Bob Uecker has been the face of that franchise for 40 years, whatever it was, 50 years. That's what it was. Well, now, to me at least, he's the voice. Like, I don't think it's really debatable at this point. And that's not taking anything away. I'm not trying to be mean to Mauer or Grindle. Both super nice guys. Both are fine. But he is the voice. And I know he's doing way more TV than he was doing radio before. And Brian Anderson is a TV voice. And again, like I've said before, I've never simulated or associated the two. You do TV, that doesn't mean you're the voice. To me, it's radio. That's how I've always done it. I don't know how you do it, but for me, it's always been the play-by-play voice on the radio, the lead guy. That's who I've always said the voice of that team.
Well, and I think Jeff kind of has a point. It's just a lot of voices. It's just a lot of people that can be the voice of the Brewers. I don't think like he's being humble when he's like, "Oh, I'm just one of them." Like, you don't have to call me the voice. Like, you are the voice, but these other guys can be the voice too. Like, they can all be the voice at the same time. Like, it's just at different times in different areas. You're the voice of the TV broadcast. You're the voice of the radio broadcast.
I love you, but you're wrong. Okay, what's next? What do we got next?
Next up, Jeff Levering was discussing his cribbage record with the guys on the broadcast team after Tim Dillard brought it up in one of last week's broadcasts.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but you just brought up one of your.
Oh no,
cribbage ain't going your way this year, huh?
No. Is Vinny talking trash on your show?
Well, no. You guys actually, he brought it up on a recent broadcast. And
yeah, he did.
Vinny
and I
was
deflected
like, hey,
quickly.
real quick. Hey, you want to talk
Real
about winning?
quick.
We picked
Speaking
up
of that,
on
want to talk
that.
about cribbage? No, sure don't. No, sure don't. You did.
Yeah, I'm 0-7.
Oh,
I'm 0-7. But we've had, I mean, they've been really close games. Not that that matters, except for in hand grenades and horseshoes. So, yeah, no, I'm getting my tail kicked. We were supposed to, I mean, the thing is that the sanctioned matches are only when we work together. So I had that first road trip where I was not well. So we didn't play until the Red Sox series, and then we had to do a bunch of makeup games. I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you, the cards that this guy is getting in these cribbage games, it's like 14, 18. Oh, cool. Here's a 24 hand. And I'm like 4, 6, 1 in the crib because I got knobs. It is a rear end kicking that I've never experienced at this level at the moment. But you know what? There's no panic. I'm not freaking out.
Oh, that's going to be a
season left. There's a lot of season left. We're going to be fine. Vinny, I'm coming for you.
That is amazing. But it wasn't over there because then Josh came up with this unbelievably great question. Who gets to win first, the Brewers in these new Wisco jerseys or you in a win against Vinny in cribbage?
Which happens first, Jeff? You get that first win of the season in cribbage, or the Brewers get their first win in the new Wisco City Connect jerseys?
Oh.
No bet.
I'm going to pass out. That was good.
The man pleads the fifth.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny. I was listening in my car and just laughing. All right, what else you got?
And last up here, right after that question, he dove into their next Friday game, which is up against the New York Yankees, and discussed catching CC Sabathia back in high school.
I think they beat the Yankees Friday.
I'd like that.
CC Sabathia, what's your first question for him in the booth?
Do you remember when I caught your bullpen when you were a senior in high school?
Whoa.
True story. I was a freshman. I
Probably
caught one
should
of
have
his
saved that
bullpens.
ball.
No, I didn't.
Do you think he remembers?
My hand has never hurt more than when I caught him as a freshman in high school. It was fun.
I had no idea. He said that. And I was like, wait, what? Y'all went to the same high school and you caught his bullpen as a freshman? Oh, my goodness.
You must have felt pretty good because he was probably pretty good, pretty nationally ranked in high school, too, I would think, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Had to have been. That's just crazy, though. Again, my kid played some high school baseball through freshman year, whatever else. And I can tell you, when you get in there told to go catch this senior or this junior who's throwing it harder than anybody you've caught previously, that could be a little bit scary. I can't even imagine Sabathia throwing to me.
He went to Vallejo High School and was one of the top 100 baseball recruits in the country at that time.
I bet you he was. Jeff Levering. Woo! Good stuff. Go back, listen to that whole interview, wisportsradio.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Green and Gold update next.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is time again, 4 o'clock hour. Hope y'all are well. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Wisconsin Sports Daily. Truly do appreciate you. Weekdays, 2 to 5. Don't forget, coming up at 5 o'clock, the leadoff show with Tommy Wirtz from 5 until 6:30. We'll see if this game gets played today. Apparently, they have the tarp on the field at last check. I looked at the radar. It looks like there is a window to potentially play before the next line comes through. But even that line that comes through looks relatively small. Now, again, this all could change in, 2 hours and 40 minutes before we get to first pitch. But I think they're going to play. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Either way. So Tommy will be here for the leadoff show, 5 to 6:30. And then if there is a game after the last pitch, you make the switch. For Tim Allen, the franchise, and Tommy Wirtz for the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show. Also, don't forget, tomorrow, Tommy Wirtz on location for the leadoff show from 11 until noon. Again, at Explorium Brew Pub coming up tomorrow in the 3rd Ward. We'll have some T-shirts to give away for free. First come, first serve. There, come up, ask for a T-shirt. And as long as Tommy has some, he can give you a T-shirt to go along with coming on out there. And then have some good food. Explorium Brew Pub down in the 3rd Ward. The place is amazing. It is just awesome. They got the garage doors that open up and all that fun stuff. Come down, have lunch, listen to Tommy do a show, and then hang out, watch the afternoon game. Their game 3 between the Brewers and Cardinals tomorrow. Tommy would love to see you out there. Again, 11 to noon tomorrow at the Explorium Brew Pub in the 3rd Ward. Now, it is 4 o'clock, and when we get to 4 o'clock, it always means the same thing for the most part each and every day.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, so I found this thing on X a couple days ago. We had it on the schedule on the lineup yesterday, and it got bumped. We never got to it. So I figured, well, we can do it today instead. Lucas Van Ness, a guy for the Packers that, of course, they're going to pay like $14 million to picking up the 5th-year option. And you can have the debate amongst yourselves whether or not you think it's a good idea to pay him or not pay him. There definitely seems to be a growing amount of people that think this was a good idea based on the numbers that Charlie and I read the other day on this show from Pro Football Focus on the fact that he had really good numbers prior to getting hurt. And Brian Gutekunst said the same thing about, hey, man, he was really good prior to getting hurt. And then after the injury, obviously wasn't the same. So this guy, I don't follow this guy at X. Somebody retweeted him. He's got like 364 followers, 20,000 on Instagram, apparently, however. Carson Caldwell, Packers fan, posting NFL content and covering the Packers. Okay, fine. So on X, because I'm not on Instagram, he posts this. Lucas Van Ness had a higher pressure rate, 15.1%, than these players in 2025. Max Crosby, 10.3% pressure rate. Trey Hendrickson, 12.9%. TJ Watt, 10%. Joey Bosa, 13.5%. Abdul Carter, 13%. Montez Sweat, 13.5%. Aiden Hutchinson, 16%. So it was more than the 15.1 than Lucas Van Ness. And Carson Caldwell then posts, the Packers have their guy with a fire emoji next to it. The thing that cracks me up about this, like under a picture on X, it'll say ESPN, Run It Back, the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, wherever you get the graphic from or wherever you get the video from. Not this one. This one says made with AI. How nice. So that got posted. My question is this. Do you really believe in a Lucas Van Ness breakout season? Do you think it's going to happen this year? You think this is his breakout season? I was listening earlier today to this very network. Mm-hmm. And I'm hearing people predict 5, 6 sacks for Lucas Van Ness.
Sure, yeah.
That ain't going to cut it, man. If you're starting opposite of that dude on the other side, like I said for Rashawn Gary last year before the year started, you need to be in double figures. if you're starting edge opposite of Micah, you better get me 10. And Rashawn Gary was at 7 halfway through the season, 7.5, whatever it was. And then that was the end of it. After Micah Parsons got hurt, gone into the wind, went Rashawn Gary at that point. I think when you start talking about breakout season for this cat here, you got to be talking about 10 sacks. The crazy part about those numbers that I read, when I read them to Charlie yesterday in the pre-show meeting, Charlie looked me straight in the face and said, and what's the snap count?
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you were watching on the video stream, you saw me guffaw. I think that's the word for it.
I don't know what that means.
Like, gotta laugh in surprise a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Because Lucas Van Ness had 263 snaps last season. Does that sound like a lot to you, Sparky?
Not well.
How was that number sitting at?
I don't know. I mean, he was out hurt.
So let's start with the first guy that they named on that list. Max Crosby ended last season with 935 snaps for the Las Vegas Raiders.
And again, you're a content creator on Instagram and X. You're not going to give the whole story. You're going to give the story that you think will have some legs and run, which is what this guy did, which I give him credit for. That's how you build a fan base and build a brand. So I give him credit. Moving on.
Let's go into their division. You know, this guy's still also very good and alongside that Max Crosby level, so maybe a little higher, but Aiden Hutchinson, 1,005 snaps last season for the Detroit Lions. You know, let's go a little lower on that list, a player that's maybe not as good, but still in the division. Montez Sweat, 779 snaps last season for the Chicago
So
Bears,
again, you're like 3-1 or 3-1 at least in snap count.
That number doesn't matter.
What it is.
That number doesn't matter.
But the question is, can that number translate at that level from under 300 snaps to 900 snaps, right? So when you play 3 times the amount of snaps that he played last year, can he hold that pressure rate at that same point? That really is a thing. Like, so was that a blip or was that real? Like, if he played all year and had 900 snaps, he could have held that pressure rate number. I for one, I'm not convinced he holds it.
I don't think so. I mean, he's never even gotten close to that in his career. Like, his most snaps were 2024. He had 458 that season. Like, he just hasn't been able to get to that point. Either because the Packers don't want to give him that opportunity, which is not a good sign for a first-round pick after 3 seasons, or B, he hasn't been able to stay on the field in the first place. And if you can't stay on the field, how are they supposed to play you out there 3 to 4 downs every drive, every set of downs? Like, you can't be that guy.
And that's the thing. I just... You start talking about this Packers defense and this Packers front 7, and nobody really is talking about that opposite edge rusher. Like, it's just not a conversation. You lost Gary. You lost Ngabari. Like, you lost guys that for the last several years have been your primary pass rushers, and now they're gone. And they're not being replaced with anybody proven. They don't have a proven guy. They got Van Ness and even younger guys that are out there trying to get to the quarterback. And maybe one will break through and have a year. Could happen, right? We know Sorrell has been out there working. We know Oliver has been working with Micah Parsons as well. So we know the young dudes have been rolling with Micah, and everybody gets excited because, oh, they're working out with Micah Parsons. They're going to be awesome. Okay, maybe. But we don't know until we see it.
It's just, you look at the guys that are out there, and I think, yes, you can say, oh, the Packers have 3 to 4 guys they're just gambling on, and those are high odds. One of those guys ends up working out and being fine, sure. But none of these guys have really proven that they can be that up to this point. At least when you were gambling on Rashawn Gary potentially to do that, he's had his moments. He's had his seasons where he seems like a higher level player. The first half of last season looked like that until the second half. He just completely disappeared off the face of the earth. You saw what the toll took on Micah Parsons was at the point that he tore his ACL last season. He wasn't going to be able to go an entire season that year, because he was coming in with whatever injury it was, the back injury, and then to take that massive load that quickly from this Packers defense burnt him out and got him to this point where he's tearing his ACL before you get to the playoffs. And you can't have that happen again. If you think he's going to be coming to the Green Bay Packers back into this roster, back into this lineup by the start of the season, like Brian Gutekunst thinks he is, I think that's something you have to look forward to and say, hey, he's already gotten hurt massively once. How do we stop that from happening again? You stop that by taking the load off his back a little bit and giving him somebody else who can help you out in that regard.
I think you're right in the aspect of you probably aren't even going to try and get him to 900 snaps. You're probably going to try and get Van Ness to 450, right? If you can get to 450 snaps and then split the other 450 between Sorrell and Oliver or whatever you want to do at that point to supplement what you're getting out of Van Ness, maybe that's the way you go. So he gets half the snaps, and then you rotate in other guys for the other half of snaps. Or potentially you're playing him on the edge if they're going to play the 3-4, which again, we learned nothing yesterday from our defensive coordinator, Gannon. But what if he's putting his hand in the dirt and he's one of the 3 down linemen, and then you have Oliver standing next to him, standing up, rushing from that edge, and he's essentially playing on the end of a 3-4. I mean, that would be another way where you get both those guys on the field at the same point, and maybe that helps him from a quickness standpoint be able to get upfield.
But I think in that style of defense, he's going to have to be on the field a lot more. And with that type of player where we've seen him not be able to stay on the field, can you trust in him? Can you believe in him to actually be out there for a majority of that season? And if you have him in that 3-4 a majority of the time, he's going to need more than 450 snaps. Like I'm saying, that's going to be a 600 snap load at least, unless you trust somebody behind him to be that kind of defensive end in that 3-4, which you don't have people behind him to trust to do that either.
No, you're right. And that is, to me, the biggest question. I want to ask you, because they were talking about it earlier. What's a breakout season to you? For me, it's 10. It's 10. And it probably shouldn't be 10. That's probably too big of a number. But if you're going to pay this cat like $14 million, you got to get to 10. That's where I'm at.
I think it's 8. I think I'd put it a little earlier than that. I think an 8-sack season I'm happy with, especially if you spread it out across the season. Like Rashawn Gary, again, was so close to just having a good season.
People were happy for like 14 or 15 sacks.
Right, it was crazy. If he just had spread 7.5 sacks out over the entirety of the season, I think people would have been happier or less loud about how his season ended last year. I think if you could have got 2 sacks in the last couple games of the season, people aren't as mad at Rashawn Gary. It's the fact that he did it at the halfway point and then didn't do anything else afterwards.
Here's DeMarcus Covington of the Packers' position coach talking about Van Ness.
I think the sky's the limit for him. I think whatever he puts his mind to, he can do it. And so it's about him being out there, being consistent like all of our players on a daily basis. I think the more you're out there, the more you do it, the more consistent you are, the better you're going to be. And that's with all our players. So I'm excited to see him compete, this off season and help us improve as a team for this 2026 year. And I'm looking forward to just watching him grow like I've been seeing him this past year and a half.
This is my thing. If he was jacked, he would have told you traits that he loves about Lucas Van Ness. He, again, they're all trained apparently up there to say nothing without downgrading or whatever else. I'm looking forward to him to grow. I can't wait to watch him on the field compete.
That's also stuff you just say about rookies.
Did
That's
anybody talk to Covington before you paid him the money to think what Covington thinks of this guy? Again, because it could be, man, explosive first step, love the violent hands that he plays with. Like, you could give 2, 3, 4 things about what you love about Lucas Van Ness and what you're going to make better of him. You could have said any of that. He said nothing.
Again, all stuff you would say about a rookie player that you haven't really seen yet fully, and that you're just meeting in camp, and that you've seen him for a couple practices and you really like what you're seeing. No, this is a 4th-year guy that you have to start making a decision on eventually. It is just frustrating that it constantly is going back to that, unless he really just has nothing nice to say about Lucas Van Ness, which is another whole problem in and of itself.
We'll find out how this all plays out. Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations for the Brewers, coming up. Talking about the new I don't know what you call them, sneakers that the Brewers are going to have limited edition of that you can buy with the Wisco colors on. Yes, they're in the shoe business now too, the Brewers. Step up to the plate and take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. April through June, you can win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a Rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Plus, they also came out with some information on their Legends game that they're bringing back again. We'll talk to Rick Schlesinger about that. Up next, it's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer. This is a great song right here. This is a good one. Charlie Usen, Other Side of the Glass. It is a Brewers Day here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. And Matt Arnold, president of baseball operations, general manager of the Brewers. He joined us at 3 o'clock. Now we go to the other side of the front office. Brewers president of business operations. Rick Schlesinger joins us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Rick, how are we doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I wanted to reach out because I think it's a first in your time that you all decided to get into the sneaker business.
Yeah, I think I can't honestly tell you the last time we had a shoe that we're selling, but the City Connect Nike shoe is going to be available in a very limited way. So there's a store in the 3rd Ward called Moda 3. So on Saturday morning, we'll offer that shoe for sale there. And then we're going to have a pop-up store at the ballpark this Saturday night by the press box loge level and against the Yankees. And I think it'll be sold out. So there won't be a lot of them, but one per customer. But I think I've looked at them. I've ordered a pair. I want to make sure I get one before they're sold out. And in size 11, so I've got that all lined up. But yeah, they look great, and I think they'll be very popular.
Did Rick just pull a power play by dropping his shoe size on the
think he
radio?
did.
Is that what he just did?
I think so.
I'm hoping
like
our retail people are listening from Sparky because I didn't tell them in an email what my shoe size is. So I'm hoping they're listening because it won't help if it give me a size 9. It doesn't do me much good. So Sean, if you're listening, it's my shoe size is 11, sir.
That's amazing. Okay, so how are the sales going for the hats and the apparel? Like, I will say I am blown away by the different variations that you guys came up with this Wisco concept for the color scheme and the uniforms.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of chatter, both positive and some negative on the Wisco jersey, and I get it. But for me, what the polling is done through sales. So we have sold about 40% more of the City Connect clothing attire compared to the sales of the first version of City Connect 1.0. So, to me, that's sort of the standard that says, hey, the market really likes it. And I just hope that we start winning and playing that game because I think we're 0-4. So we've got to start playing better, but that's a bigger problem than the sales. But the sales have been fantastic. So for the fans to be, buying in the numbers they're buying, it shows that, I think overall people really like it. Again, not everybody's going to love it. And last time I found out, there's nothing in life that everybody agrees on. So, but the sales have been tremendous.
All right, let's talk about the Alumni Legends game. That's going to be coming up as well. You guys announced that too. That is going to be coming up on Friday, July 24th, following the Brewers' afternoon game against the Rockies. And I know this was a big success last year.
Yeah, so we did the home run derby, and we thought, hey, that was great, and the fans loved it. Let's do an alumni game. Remember the old days when you'd have, the alumni players come in and Luke Appling, at 80 years old, hit a home run in Washington Stadium in 1985. I don't think Luke Appling's coming back here, but the reality is we're going to have some really great alums. The full list will be announced later, but we've got Braun, Gallardo, Jenkins, Moustakas, Ben Sheets. It's a 3:10 start, so the game will, probably go to 6, and then the home run, the alumni game will start. So 3 innings. I think the fans will have a really great experience watching this. We've got Gord Ash and Doug Melvin will be the opposing GMs, and they'll select the rosters, and we'll have a lot of fun. It'll be great to see these guys come back, and they'll have some fun with it.
Oh, I love Doug Melvin and Gord Ash. Talk to both of those guys every day of the week, especially Melvin. He's a big Bucks fan too, an NBA fan, and all of that stuff. He was meant to do sports talk radio. I mean, the baseball thing worked out well too, but he could definitely.
No, he's good. Yeah, he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. He knows a lot about hockey, being Canadian. Yes. So don't get him started on NHL. He'll talk for 2 hours about NHL hockey.
And I definitely will not, because I don't know anything about the NHL, so you will not hear me there. But having said that, the other thing about this is all fan in attendance can also enjoy several Legends game celebrations throughout the ballpark. And we are talking about some discounted things going on as far as $2.50 brats and other stuff.
Yeah, so it's the 25th anniversary of the ballpark. And so, there's $2.50 12-ounce drafts and canned Miller Lite from gates open to first pitch, $2.50 brats from gates open to first pitch, 25% off some merch at the retail store. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to come to the game, but there's a lot of reasons to come as soon as the gates open. So I think we'll have a sellout crowd and a lot of enthusiasm, and it'll be a lot of fun. And again, these guys, you can't say enough about the former Brewers players because they love coming back. They love the fans. They talk endlessly about how great their time was in Milwaukee. And that's a testament, I think, to Doug Melvin and Gordash, who was the GM and the assistant GM for most of the time that these players played for the Brewers and created a great culture here. So the fact that they always want to come back and relive memories is great, and it's fun to see them. And it's always fun to see who's in shape and who's not, and they'll show their baseball skills in a 3-inning game on July 24th.
I don't know what Ben Sheets looks like, but I would not bet against Ben Sheets. I would not want to bat against Ben Sheets. I don't care how old he is. I'm out. That dude was filthy back in the day. Rick Schlesinger, Brewers President of Business Operations, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Another announcement that also came out was the Brewers Wall of Honor. 2 more guys that'll be placed up on the Brewers Wall of Honor coming up this week.
Yep. Friday, May 8th, we've got CC Sabathia and Dave Parker. Obviously, Dave passed away, but family members will be here, and obviously CC will be here. And their time with the Brewers was not long, but memorable. Obviously, everybody remembers the second half of the 2008 season where CC put the team on his back and got us into the postseason. And Dave Parker, Hall of Fame baseball player, had a great career with the Pirates and Reds. Had, I think, 1 year he was nice with us. He had a nice year with us, but great career. Probably a guy that gets forgotten because, he played in an era when Jim Rice and some of these other great players. And but people forget Dave Parker. The guy could hit with power. He could hit for average. World Series champion, Hall of Famer.
I will tell you a quick Dave Parker story. I was much younger back then, and Dave Parker was with the Brewers, and I loved Dave Parker with the Brewers. And Dave Parker was put into the All-Star game as a Brewer. And I stayed up to watch that entire freaking All-Star game to realize at the end that the only player that did not play was Dave Parker of the Milwaukee Brewers, never got into the game as a Brewer. And I was devastated.
We could have used him in 2002 when we ran out of players here in Milwaukee for that All-Star game that we all remember. So, yeah, I mean, he had a great career. And, it's sad that he's not with us, but it's great that his family is, bringing his memory alive, and we'll have a nice celebration for him as well as CC on Friday. They'll be part of the pregame ceremonies. And CC's been great. I mean, I've got to know him a little bit. Impressive pitcher, impressive human being. Has done so much for communities and charities, the stuff that he doesn't talk about behind the scenes. He's been working with Major League Baseball, and just incredible class act, and really selfless guy to pitch on 3 days rest for like 4 consecutive starts with us in 2008, impending walk year, free agent year. I mean, talk about a selfless act to support a team. He's the man.
I realize that there are a lot of people that obviously lived through 2008 and remember exactly that whole Sabathia trade and how that whole thing played out. There are also that are much younger that don't remember it and so forth. I would like you to explain the complete hysteria that came along with how nuts that really was with Sabathia. I mean, from jersey shirts, okay, here we go, we're gonna have jersey shirts, and they're gone like instantaneously. People chanting CC, that sellout streak, like that was insane.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I think we had like 30 consecutive sellouts, and every time he pitched, it was cannot miss action. And he was 11-2, 1.65 ERA.
Got screwed out of a no-hitter against Pittsburgh.
He still owed the no-hitter in Pittsburgh. We'll talk to the official score about that.
Yep.
And what I remember the most is, starting on 3 days rest for 4 consecutive starts in September, and just put the team on his back. And obviously the winning game in 2008 to put us in a situation where, the Marlins beat the Mets on Wes Helms's home run, former Brewer. Magical moment. And just, this was a franchise that had not sniffed the playoffs for a very long time. And CC, did it. And credit to CC for his incredible streak. Credit to Doug Melvin for making that deal, pulling the trigger. It's always a high risk when you're trading really talented young players, which we did. So Cleveland did okay in that trade. But, obviously for CC and what he meant for the Brewers in 2008 is, I think, propelled us to levels we had not seen for a generation.
The best player in that trade for Cleveland was the guy that was the player to be named later in Michael Brantley. That was the best player in that deal. The crown jewel in that deal was Matt Laporta, and I think he retired at age 29.
Yeah, Matt was a first-round pick for us and first baseman. Just never, it never materialized. Michael Brantley was a guy that clearly there were two players that the Guardians, then they called the Indians, could have selected. They selected Michael Brantley because the Indians obviously had a tremendous front office. They knew what they were getting. Michael Brantley had a tremendous career. But you know what? You don't look back and say, boy, I wish we had Michael Brantley. As great as he was, I mean, to have CC, he made such a difference for the franchise. And I think so much of the good things that happened since can be traced back to 2008 and what he meant to the city, what he meant to the team.
How many bobbleheads have been made of CC Sabathia in Brewers history?
Yeah, we've probably done 3 or 4. I mean, people, just, again, he's iconic for, if you think about a guy who, for half a season, the impact he had on a franchise, I'm trying to think of another scenario in sports.
No.
And I don't think you can find one.
No.
What he did for half a season is a legend in Milwaukee, and it's impressive, and credit to him. And he was so impressive on the mound, and I think, he had such presence both in the clubhouse, on the mound, and just, this was a warrior, and boy, did he deliver.
Yeah, he is going into his free agent year, could have ripped his elbow up, his shoulder up, pitching on 3 days rest the way he was, and he did not care. He was going to get that thing done. Always will respect that. Rick Schlesinger, yes. Brewers president of business ops, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Rick, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
You betcha. Take care. There he goes. Rick Schlesinger joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all.
I don't know if they sold these shoes, but didn't they do the Bryce Train Joey Ortiz shoes last year? Wasn't that part? I was just thinking about that towards the end there.
Google it. I don't know. I don't remember.
Where they had like their signature edition. It was either cleats or shoes but they were selling them, I thought.
Joey Ortiz had his own damn shoe? You're kidding.
I'm pretty sure.
I've never talked to
Bryce Train Joey Ortiz shoes was the first Google thing that popped up. 2024. So is that. Yeah, they were Nike Air Force Ones that each of them designed their own version of them. Yeah.
Really? Well, yeah, they're so popular. I don't even remember them.
Not only do we work to make the fan experience memorable every game for every fan, but we also work to provide unique perks for the season seat members. That's what it was for.
So it wasn't
show our
for
gratitude for the commitment.
It wasn't for the general public. No, this is for the general public.
Yeah, no, those were for the season seat holders.
Now those Terang ones might be worth something if he continues to ball.
I think I don't know if he's signed them or anything. I think it's just their colorway. So
who cares? If you have them though, and they're Bryce, if it says Bryce Terang on the
I think they do have
or whatever little,
else, something like that.
Now you go and Terang does an autograph sign, which does he do autograph signs? I don't feel like I've seen anything anywhere. Normally, locally, Waukesha Sports Cards has all the big autograph signings. I don't know if they've had them or not. I mean, they listen, so I'm sure I'll get a text from somebody over there saying, "Oh yeah, we get Terang."
Oh, yeah. On the back heel it says BT2, and on the other one says JO3.
Yeah, so when Terang does an autograph signing, if you have those shoes, you need to go get those signed.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, you need to go get those signed. The Joey Ortiz ones.
Oh, it looks like it comes with a certificate of authenticity that was signed by both of them too.
So he already signed them?
Not the shoe, but the certificate of authenticity he signed. Yeah, I don't.
So clarifying that it's real leather on the shoe?
No, clarifying that it's the real one from the Brewers season seat holders.
Oh, the shoe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, that Terang thing, you probably didn't realize how good he may be. Now you do. That you might want to get that autograph. That might be worth something because that's clearly a limited edition. That wasn't open to the general public, which means those things are going to be worth a ton.
There you go. Maybe these ones will be too because they're going to be so limited.
Yes, there's going to be very limited. It's only going to be at that shoot store and, for a couple hours or whatever at the Brewers game against the Yankees. And that's going to be the extent of it. All right, coming up next, things that we missed on today's show. But first, let me tell you about my friends over there at Havish and Rotier. Don't forget, coming up on Friday, Plead the Fifth, your chance to tell anybody on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, hosts, callers, producers, whoever it may be, that they need to plead the fifth over something dumb that you think they may have said at some point. That never happens, so that doesn't happen. Whether it be personalities on TV. Did you see that they're bringing back Skip Bayless with Stephen A. Smith for a show?
Oh, awesome.
There's
so cool.
speculation that they may end up putting those two together in the football season again.
Why? Like, does anybody like either one of them anymore?
Skip Bayless has built a huge following on social media.
But
YouTube has a huge, I think it's like 250,000
anytime
subscribers.
I see people like they
complain,
are watching,
right?
they're watching him in like incredulously. Like they're
Yes,
just like
but
are
they can't
amazed
stop.
that he's saying the things he's saying. It's not because they like him. It's crazy.
But listen to me, they still watch.
I know.
That's all that matters. They still watch.
If that happens, it's gonna be every Plead the Fifth Friday. It's just gonna be them.
Could be. But again, like I say it all the time. Like if somebody said, Charlie, he's all right. Yeah, what did he say that you really like? I don't remember. He's all right. He don't bother me though. You saying that he really made him mad? No, I don't know. No, he's a nice guy though. Okay, you're dead. Like it's over. It's not gonna work, right? It's just not gonna work. But if you have somebody that just like Bayless or Stephen A., Kendrick Perkins, who I can't stand, any of those guys, more times than not, people will always tune in just to be mad. Same with talk show hosts, news talk show hosts, whatever the case may be. There's a famous news talk show host in Milwaukee for the longest time, had gigantic numbers, right? Guess what? People hated the guy. But guess what? They all still listened because they wanted to hear what he was going to say next. They wanted to hear what he was going to say next.
Try to prove him wrong just once. That's all they need.
And I used to produce for the guy. People go, I hate this guy. Then why are you listening? What are you listening for? Well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. So, I mean, that's why.
Crazy world we live in.
That's pretty much what it is. Yes, I agree. Yes. Back to what we were talking about. Habish, and Rotier. Nobody hates them. We all love Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Now, again, 13 locations around the beautiful state of Wisconsin. They've been doing this since 1930. Not the exact same lawyers, obviously, but all kinds of different lawyers. And they are held to a very, very high standard because that hometown service is very, very critical to them being as successful as they want to be. Because while you can do marketing and you can advertise on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network and so forth, the most powerful form of advertising is word of mouth. And nowadays, it's reviews on Yelp or Google reviews or reviews everywhere else. And you need to build that foundation of really, really good reviews and so forth. And how do you get good reviews? You're nice to people. You listen to people. You bust your butt to help out a person as much as you possibly can to get them what they deserve at the end of the day. And that's what they've been doing since 1930. And that's why they're as successful as they are. And that is why probably more likely than not, you know somebody that has used Habish, and Rotier at some point and probably tell you glowing things about them if you ever get in that situation where you get hurt in a car accident and need somebody to represent you. Check them out today, Habish.com. Habish, and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. Things Sparky missed coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fifer, Charlie Usen. Some breaking news on the Brewers. Game canceled tonight in St. Louis. Tommy Word's hanging out over here. No Brewers Cardinals game tonight. Doubleheader scheduled for July 7th. July 7th, a doubleheader scheduled for. So now that game on July 7th will be a split doubleheader.
And in a 4-game series already, they will have 5 games in 4 days against the Cardinals.
Correct. So the first pitch, let's see here. The first game will be at 1:15 Central Time.
Yep.
And then the second game that night will be at 6:45 that night.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys. Well, first of all, we never have to worry about this problem in Milwaukee, right? Because very rarely are there double headers here because of inclement weather. But why? Well, I hate when they reschedule this stuff that they make split double headers, like they empty the stadium and then you got to go back in. I did go to a double header, gosh, within the last 4 years, somewhere around there, where it was the Giants. And it was one ticket got you to both games, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just hang out all day, rot at the ballpark. It is awesome vibes, always good. So split doubleheaders. If anyone in Milwaukee bought tickets to go down there, the tickets will be valid for today on July 7th for that game.
So you can drive back down there on July 7th?
Right. Yeah. If there's
I
any,
guess.
so I don't know if you've planned. It's lovely this time of year in July.
You talked about yesterday how much you like St. Louis.
I do.
You would go there way over Washington D.C.
Absolutely. I love it.
You said you'd rather go to St. Louis than to Washington, right?
DC, yeah,
DC every day of the week.
Yeah, I don't know
Every
if
day of the
you
week.
are in the majority on that one.
Well, that's okay. I'm not in the majority on a lot of things I say.
That's true. I think intentionally you try to be in the minority.
No, but again, my memories of DC, were from how many years ago? 30 years ago or whatever, right? Yeah, band marching and playing in front of the monuments and all that stuff. And I just remember a ton of homeless people. Like that's my lasting memory of that place.
Well,
and I got to go sit in on a thing of the Senate or whatever, and we all had to be quiet and listen and all that, and got to do the touristy things that you do in DC.
Did you guys ever do Model UN?
No.
We were. Oh gosh, Ecuador. Cudahy had a small. So I think the statute of limitations is passed. I got bumped up in grade because of they needed people for Model UN. They're like, well, I'll bump your grade up a little bit, and you'll get out a whole day in school. You can just need you to go represent Ecuador.
So what did you do?
So we got put into these like breakout groups. There was one person who genuinely wanted to be in Model UN. She ended up being our salutatorian, and she was like the president of Ecuador for us or something along those lines. And so she had to go to like these crazy breakout meetings. And then meanwhile, me and a couple other idiots, for lack of a better word, were all around there. And they gave us a notepad to pass notes so we could communicate to other countries. And I remember actually flirting with a girl not from India, but representing India from Greenfield the entire time. And it worked out pretty well. It was a fun day, like just passing notes back and forth all over the place. And I don't remember a single thing. We had to talk funny. It'd be like, Ecuador would like to object to sentence here. And then you'd go from there and go on and like motion to be able to do that. I'm probably the worst representative the Wisconsin Model UN has ever put out, and I'm not making it sound like it was great.
Especially since they give you a hard country too, like Ecuador. Yeah, you're not doing a lot, but you got to figure out how you fit in places and stuff.
I just got out of day of school. That was like the big draw. No school for a day. Grade got bumped up.
Well, one second.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about Ecuador?
Oh. There's a lot of vowels in the name.
You learned nothing.
I don't, dude.
You learned nothing.
We had we were a small nation, so we purposely were a small nation because we had a small team going or whatever it was. I don't even know if you win. Did you win at Model UN? Or
you're asking me because I wasn't there.
It was like a full LARPing type scenario.
I don't care anymore. I'm done. I don't. No, don't Google that. Nobody cares.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily?
Not miss that.
Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now.
You're a LARPer?
All right, let's get some Ryan Rollins in here. Ryan Rollins talking about a bunch of different stuff. Ryan Rollins was on Yahoo Sports Daily talking about the whole Doc Rivers Google me conversation and meeting that happened.
He basically said, hey, Google me. I've won a lot of games and I've coached a lot of games in the NBA. How did you receive Doc Rivers' message that night?
I received it more as he was just trying to, get us all on the same page or one accord of like, it has to be like a line of, professionalism and like line of authority in a way, you know what I mean? So I guess he was just trying to emphasize that and make that a big emphasis in that moment. But I mean, he said what he said. I can't really don't want to go too much into it on the backside of it, but yeah, it was a tough situation.
I saw people on X yesterday talking about how great Kyle Kuzma was for the Bucks and da. Took everything in me to not get into it with dumb people on Twitter. I just took everything in me to not argue about that.
Usually you do. Usually you get into
No,
it
I'm way better. If I'd have been in my 20s, oof, would have been bad.
You do enough of it in person in this building.
Correct.
Why do you need to do any more on Twitter?
Correct, right. I try to stay out of it on X as much as possible. Ryan Rollins on Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't called him, but I have texted him a couple times too. Just congratulating him for him and his family. It's a good situation that we're coming into. Having a new head coach, and don't know all that's going to be switched around by the time next season comes. But I'm just ready to come in and just make an impact and just continue the growth and just build a culture and a winning foundation.
Build a culture and a winning foundation. I thought that was what Doc Rivers was supposed to be doing as well. And clearly it didn't happen when he had guys like Kyle Kuzma on the team. Ryan Rollins talking about his love for Milwaukee.
I would say the main thing just recently, how, LeBron said the whole thing about Milwaukee, and I think Memphis was the other city. Milwaukee's a great city. They got great food spots. Everybody in Milwaukee is super friendly. There's a lot of hidden gems out there, but I think more so he was trying to get towards was like as if you're a visitor team, it's not really, a lot to do. But if you're from there, you get to go around the city a little bit, meet people. It's a great city. Everybody's nice. Everybody's friendly. They're welcoming. They show a lot of love out there too. Milwaukee's a great fan base. And I like it, man. It's a low-key spot. I'm a low-key guy, so I guess it fits me.
So there's Ryan Rollins sticking up for Milwaukee a little bit there as far as what it's all about. And he is 100% true on when you come in, especially an NBA team, you judge the city on, is there a club near my hotel? Is there a nice 5-star restaurant near my hotel? And am I in like the bougiest hotel of all time? And if none of those things apply, then I hate your city and I don't ever want to play there again. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Baseball is a little bit different because you're there for so much longer, 3-day series, 4-day series. So those guys have a better chance of get around, walk around, explore the city a little bit more than say an NBA player does for sure. So pretty good stuff. Again, that was from Yahoo. If you want to go and check that out as well. That'll do it for today's show. Wisconsin Sports wrap up next because there's no Brewers game tonight. That was rained out in St. Louis. Brewers and Cardinals we made up part of a doubleheader on July 7th. Tommy Wirtz is here, though. He'll get to the Wisconsin Sports wrap up. It has been Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a good night, Wisconsin. Toodles.